People are going to get harmed. People are going to get killed. People can't open their businesses.
Well, back in 2016, Oklahoma experienced 623 earthquakes above a 3.0 magnitude, hundreds more than previous years. And all of this seismic activity has put Oklahoma under a microscope, with experts trying to pinpoint a cause here. So this morning we are joined by environmental activist Erin Brockovich, who's been very vocal and proactive when it comes to earthquakes that have just been rocking our region over the past few years. Pleasure to meet you, and
thank you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so this is your third time in Oklahoma just this year. What brings you here this week? What's the main mission?
Well, we're going back to the university in Stillwater. Last time we were here, we had an ice storm, so they canceled the whole thing. So we're back here to do that. A lot of people have questions and answers, certainly for the legal team, on what their legal rights are, because there's no earthquake insurance out here. And they're like, what are we supposed to do and where do we go? There's a lot of frustration in the community, and I'm certainly here to, make them more aware. There's a lot of information that they need to know. I mean, this earthquake issue is man-made because of the deep water injection. I mean, the science is in on that, and people need to know and want to know their legal rights. We were talking about this on the way over here. If the oil and gas industry and there was a car accident and one of their trucks rear-ended you or caused damage, they would be fixing that. And it is because of the deep water injection that's causing all this pressure, that's causing these earthquakes, that has left many, many people with damaged homes and no ability to repair them. So there's frustration. They have a lot of questions. Listen, a lot of groundwater contamination happens with fracking. A lot of people are still on their own well water. Their wells are running dry. Many of them have pollution. So we come to have these community meetings as a forum and a way for them to interact with us, express their concerns, and they do. And we can't just be sitting ducks. And I want communities to be involved. And we're in a moment where they're really kind of waking up and going, wait a minute. And they're getting to their local council meetings. They're being active. They're saying this is not something we want permitted. They're pushing back, if you will. And I've seen some communities make great headway, and I hope that they do that here in Oklahoma. They're very frustrated. And I was born and raised in Kansas. I know tornadoes. I know tornadoes in Oklahoma. But when I land here and I'm sitting on my bed and wondering, was that an earthquake? Honestly, it's like, Dodo, we're not in Kansas anymore because
you feel them very frequently
you
now.
just don't have those here. And so there's a reason why they're happening. There's things that can be done. They need to reduce the pressure. And even if they do, and when they do, and they've reduced it a little, this is going to be a long time as all this water dissipates out into the environment before you stop seeing this.
I was going to mention that earthquake activity has slowed down. 2016, for the first time in recent years, was the first year that we saw a decrease compared to previous years, but it was also the year that we saw our largest earthquake. So like you said, the damage possibly is already done. Scientists, like you said, most agree, but not everybody agrees that these are man-made. You are a self-proclaimed modern-day David. You said you love to go after, or you love a good brawl with today's Goliaths. Who would you say is the Goliath and who is the David in this situation here?
Well, it's the people raising up to use their voices against what's a very, listen, this is your backyard. I understand. My dad is an engineer that worked for industry. And he ran the pipelines for Texaco, actually through Oklahoma. So he would often share with me, there's better ways that we can be doing things. If we're going to talk about fracking and the deep water injection, it's because it's waste, and this is how they're disposing of their waste. There's different practices they can do. I understand, as everybody does in Oklahoma, we all want and appreciate our energy, lights, traveling, air conditioning, heating, but when it comes at such a frenzy that it creates a scenario like this is where you can do business better. So it would be the oil and gas industry. It's scary for people to go up against them, even if you're a law firm, because they've got a lot of money and they can push back really hard.
I think a lot of times too, I mean, 1 in 4 people here in Oklahoma is employed directly or indirectly by the energy industry. So the question is, how do we do this without crippling Oklahoma's economy even more. Like your dad said, we could be doing this differently, or we could be doing this
Right.
better, but you don't want to cripple those companies, because oil and gas, that's Oklahoma's backbone, you know?
I don't think you have to do that. And I think that there is so much room for discussion here. And both sides, it isn't just all or nothing. There's always a place in the middle where things can be done differently. Like you said, you've noticed the earthquakes have slowed down as they've backed off a little, but you still have energy. One thing we have to address in this deep water injection is its waste. We can't just continue to use the environment as our dumping ground and our
Sewage.
water supply for all of our chemicals and hope that it's dissipated and gone. That's not the process. So instead of all or nothing, and I know both sides are frustrated, there's so much room for us to come in here, still have what we want, but be protective of the environment and people's health and welfare. And by the way, when something does go wrong, let's just stop the fight. Let's get here. Let's fix this. Let's move on. And it drives me crazy because really it's simple enough, but somebody's always going to dig down on it because they don't want to pay the money. Listen, some of the solution is paying more money up front on how you dispose of your hazardous waste instead of waiting for a disaster, because you're going to pay a whole lot more down the line if you guys have a big 7.0 earthquake and you have to rebuild Oklahoma City.
We had, we reached out on social media. We had a lot of people chime in who had a lot of questions.
They're
for you.
excited.
Very excited. So do you want to get to this first one? This came in from Mark. Mark says, what scientific proof do you have that fracking causes earthquakes? From what I understand, North Dakota has fracking, but no earthquakes. What do you say to Mark there?
Well, the science is in on that, and there's a lot of studies, and we'll bring them tonight. We have things when we're at these community meetings so you can see the science as well. You can look it up online, that these earthquakes are caused by this deep water injection, because all this water that you're shoving down in there is putting intense pressure. The whole world is made up of plates, and you actually have a plate system and a fault line that runs through here through Missouri. So that's partly why, because you have a natural fault system here that's under pressure that's causing it to do what it's doing, and probably less of a situation like that in North Dakota. Again, not knowing the geology up there or not looking at it, I'm not going to profess that I'm the expert on that, because I'm not, but that could be the difference. Also, I'd have to look in North Dakota, how much are they injecting? There was such a frenzy here in Oklahoma that you just went boom like that, and all that water got shoved down there, and it's intense pressure. They may have less pressure in North Dakota. Without knowing the circumstances, that would be a comment that I could make, that why you might see a difference.
We used to, I'm not sure if we still do, but Oklahoma used to bring in wastewater from other states
Well,
and
you
inject
are.
it. And
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm so glad.
Are we still doing that?
Yes,
We're
you
still
are, and
bringing
I'm so glad
other
you brought that
wastewater
up.
into our state and injecting it into our state. So
Right.
not only do we have other
Your states, you have 5 other states.
We have 5
and
other
it's such
states.
Thank you.
And so
a
North Dakota
valuable
might
point.
not have that. They might not be injecting other states. They might just be
They might
injecting
not be.
North Dakota's.
And they had a big boom, but that backed off pretty quick. You guys are still the big boom down in here.
Right.
Sure.
Another question that we got in, this is from one of our Instagram viewers. They said, given the political climate locally and nationally, what is an effective, immediate, and realistic step that can be taken now to begin to compromise on this issue? Realistic being the operative word.
What can we do?
Well, what we just talked about, and that's backing it off. They've backed it off some, and they might be able to back it off some more. We're still going to have to deal with the long-term effect of how it dissipates, but they can draw it out, and they can also treat it. And that's something that they need to do if they continue this process, is treating the water, because all of that contamination that's been shoved in there is going to find its way somewhere down the line and pop up in somebody's well or contaminate a municipal system, and then we're going to have another crisis on our hands. So those are things. 1, deal with the people that have had earthquake damage and how we're going to repair their homes. 2, how we treat our wastewater injection. And 3, we have energy. They know their business way better than I do, and that they can back off a little, still have their energy, be a little more protective of the environment, try to ease this pressure so we can slow these earthquakes back even a little bit more, and cooperatively work with science in these communities.
We got this question in from Steve. He said, please ask her what qualifications she has to give an expert opinion, or is she just another self-proclaimed activist? Do you take offense to that?
No, I don't. You know, I think
Okay.
I used to, but I am really, I don't come out here without having done a lot of work on the law side and on the state side, and understanding there is science.
Sure.
There is facts. There are information sources available to people. So, no, I don't take offense to that. I really understand that. And I get that just recently on a groundwater pollution issue. Somebody said, well, you know, you don't have the peer-reviewed studies. When you do, we'll believe you. And I'm like, you bring up an extremely valuable point, and I'm happy to have this conversation with you. You're right, I don't. But I want you to remember something. Neither do you. So you don't know for certain this can't harm you.
Right.
And so it goes both ways. It doesn't take a lot to figure out what's going on here. You're having earthquakes here. Oklahoma's not known for that. We've got the science. We've got the oil and gas industry with deep water injection, and we can be doing this differently, whether you have the study or not. But I don't come out here to be a self-proclaimed advocate. I have a lot of good work to do in my life. I have 3 wonderful new grandchildren.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I know I'm
so
a grandmother
fun.
now. I've been blessed with a great career, and I don't need to do that. But I understand people can be skeptical, and I'm always happy to have that conversation.
And really quickly, just last question, why do you care about this? And why do you care about Oklahomans?
Oh my gosh. Well, I care about this because born and raised in Kansas. I spent most of my summers in Ponca City, Oklahoma, because my mom was born and raised in Ponca City. And actually because my dad, and see, here's what I get. My dad worked for industry. He ran the pipelines, yet he was the very one that taught me the value of water. And our health and our family are the greatest gifts we have. And in our struggle to get so much so soon, to sacrifice that isn't worth it, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I deeply care about the legacy that I'm leaving for my little granddaughters and my grandson.
I see you getting emotional
Well,
just
it
talking
does.
about that.
It hurts me, and I'm a foot soldier on the ground. I don't make this up, and I see and I feel and I see what's going on everywhere. And one thing that actually really hurts me is oftentimes we as everyday people, even though we don't have the science, are told, well, you don't have a peer-reviewed study. You're not the scientist. You're not the doctor. You're not the lawyer. You're not the politician. Therefore, why are you saying anything? You don't have to be any of that to see when something's going wrong, to care about your environment, to care about your family, to protect and defend your health, and to stand up and say something.
To defend what in your mind is right and wrong.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the biggest issues here, like you said, we've grown up in Oklahoma this whole time. Like we said, 1 in 4 people work in the oil and gas industry, or they're directly or indirectly connected to it. And so people are, I mean, this isn't affecting just the billionaires who make all the money, but also the minimum wage worker who's afraid of losing their job. But then you also have people who their houses are falling
Losing their
down.
homes,
Absolutely.
You know, I have a crack in my wall right now, and
Right.
so it's kind of like, what do you do? So I know you have a lot of questions and a lot of great advice, and people can come talk to you about this today at OSU, and then Shawnee tomorrow. Correct?
Absolutely. That's
a lot to talk about.
And I'm
it's
not here to vilify the oil and gas industry.
Sure.
We get it. But you know what? Because of what's been going on and the process and how quick it's happened and the science is in and the earthquakes are caused by this, no employee should be punished if their house was damaged in asking for that to be fixed. Like
Sure.
we were talking on the way over here. If an oil and gas truck slammed in and rear-ended you, we know what's going to happen.
They'd
and your
pay
car's
for it.
going to get paid for, fixed if you're harmed. And so I've always wanted, because of the way I was raised, to bridge a gap. You know, these companies come into town and they need to be a good neighbor. All of you work for them. They all want to put their kids to college, but at the same time, when something happens that can encroach or jeopardize their home, their health, and their welfare, the game's on and you're asking too much. And there's just absolutely no reason why we cannot make this right.
Be on the same team.
And we have to be.
Well, Erin Brockovich, we've been looking forward to
Yes.
this interview
thank you
for
having
days
me.
now,
It
so
was
we
really nice.
appreciate your
And
time
I
and your
love
perspective.
you're tall. I mean, people might not know that, and I'm tall. And people are like,
She's
"You're so
6'1".
tall."
She's 6'1".
Well, in heels, flat-footed, I'm about
Oh.
5'10".
Okay.
In heels, 6'1". But I said, "Oh,
Yeah, we're the tall team
Midwestern,
here.
yeah.
We'll take it. Pleasure to meet you, and
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much
for
much.
having me.
KSU 5 News at 9 o'clock continues right after this break.